Let us know who you're cheering for as we jump into Cypher for a Scarlett versus SpeCial. Let's get some game sounds up in here and get this ready to go. Game sounds are here, guys. We've got game sounds. It's just I didn't want to unmute too soon because they have a very loud intro for every map and it deafens me. So here we are. Scarlett is a big crowd favorite in China, by the way. Huge fan favorite. Absolutely loved by the Chinese crowd. That's why she comes to a lot of Chinese tournaments. She is absolutely top priority on invites. Again and again and again. So, Special Band Acropolis. Okay. That was the... there's like 3 maps. King's Cove, Acropolis, and Neo Tokyo. I don't know the difference between them when it comes to the Chinese names. So, those are the few that I don't know. Otherwise, I have ways of identifying the other 4. Alright. But yeah, people from China love her because Newbie is a Chinese team, though. That's not true. I mean, she was very popular in China before she joined Newbie. And it's one of the reasons Newbie picked her up is because she was hugely popular in China before then. So, obviously, yes, being on a Chinese team helps with that. But, yeah, she was very popular in China before then. She was always going to Chinese events, and she always gets those invites to tournaments and stuff like that in China. So, as we kick this off and get into Scarlett versus SpeCial best of 5. Again, the loser of this plays Sonu in the 3rd place match, while the winner will play Innovation in the grand finals. As we get this set up to go, a lot of these non-Chinese players that are flown out to these events a lot of the time are very fan favorite heavy. SpeCial is not quite as a favorite as Scarlett, but is still kind of popular. Innovation is extremely popular in China as well. There's just like a few of the Koreans in particular which the Chinese player fan base really seems to love. Innovation's definitely one of them. And if every now and then we get updates from the Chinese scene, a couple of Team Liquid posters give us updates and they let us know like the latest memes from China, and Innovation has all of these different funny names in China. I don't know any off the top of my head, but yeah. This is best of 5, guys. Best of 5 both semi-finals and the 3rd place match. It's a best of 7 final today. I know best of 7 is stated on the Wikipedia page, but that is not the case. It is indeed best of 5. Alright, well, Reaper comes across the map here early on. Nothing too crazy about that, as it just pokes at the front. A couple Lings and a Queen will be able to push that Reaper back, though, so Reaper does get turned away. That's going to be seeing that 3rd hatchery about halfway done as well. Command Center starting up into an orbital command, and yeah, in the moment this game just standardizing a little bit for the early moments. Obviously, I think Scarlett's going to play very differently to how we saw Sonu playing against Innovation. Scarlett, well, she isn't afraid to throw all-ins out there. I think Scarlett goes for a much more macro play in general, and then adds the all-ins in, whereas Sonu kind of added macro play into a few all-in, into the all-ins which he bases his play around almost. As we do see the Fusion Core dropping down here, SpeCial's going to go Battle Cruisers as well. Battle Cruisers have definitely come back into play a little bit lately. One of the big things was that they did, the Terran players have figured out how to survive with the battle cruisers, and they figured out how they're able to, as the Chinese crowd is enjoying some jokes. Yeah, the battle cruisers have definitely come back into play lately. It's just something that people have kind of figured out how to hold some of the attacks that were killing them, and it's just one of those meta things where this was a very good build, but when you were doing it every game, Zergs figured it out very quickly, and they were able to build up against it quite blindly. Now that that's not the case so much, you can kind of battle cruiser once again, and you can see some success with it. So we'll see how this goes for SpeCial here. As we are going to be seeing the Hellions coming around, looking for an opening. SpeCial being very aggressive, is going to jump in and gets a little bit of damage on some drones there. Queen's going to get bopped by a Reaper grenade up into the sky and spread out a little bit as well. Queen's here as well, going to turn those Hellions around. There's going to be a... oh my god, the Hellion very nearly going down. In the end, SpeCial just finds a couple drone kills. And that will be about it. Now, Scarlett and SpeCial actually meet each other quite regularly in a lot of these tournaments. So, yeah, kind of cool to see these guys meeting up here in this Chinese event. in the semi-finals. I'm trying to think the last time Scarlett and SpeCial played each other. They did play during WSG Global Finals, and that was a 5-game series, I want to say. I can't remember, actually. I feel like Scarlett... No, it was a 3-1, and Scarlett kind of won with Nidus Networks in a couple of the games, and then there was one game where SpeCial, I think, was very far ahead and lost it. I didn't cast that series, although I think I cast a bit of it. For YouTube, maybe? Can't remember now. Anyways, that's the BC teleporting in. But yeah, that was a Scarlett win. I think it was definitely 3-1. She won on Automaton and a couple other maps. And then she lost on Port Alexander, which was like the one true macro game. Yeah. Anyways, a few drones going down here in SpeCial. Able to get some harassment off in the early stages. Just this one battle cruiser already teching through into bio now. And getting up into the next little stage of this, as we're going to be seeing the overload getting picked off as well. So Scarlett getting a little bit supply blocked by this at the moment. SpeCial obviously comes off of a very successful tournament at WCS Spring. Going to be looking to have a similar run into the finals again for WCS Summer, I would imagine. As that BC picks away at that hatchery, doing a good little bit of damage again. So Spire on the way up again. There's those Marines continuing to pour on out. A couple of medevacs coming through too, and Spire is still coming into play. That BC is really playing with death here. Teleport is ready, so it can teleport home. It can get repaired. So BC makes it home. Scarlett though, up to 3 bases of saturation. Spire coming in for Ling Bane Muta, and see what she can do on Cyber Forest with Ling Bane Muta. Nice map for Ling Bane Muta. It's a lot of counter-attack paths. There's a lot of ways to surround and flank an army. And the Mutas can do pretty well jumping between bases here as well, for a couple of decent places to kind of jump out and to keep themselves very safe when exiting, basically. Hellions in the center going to push through some creep spread. Some Marines coming through there as well. A couple more creep tumors getting picked off. Ling's still running forwards. The Marines pull back a little bit further. Hellions pressing through. Some damage onto the Lings and Banes. Marines again going to deal that little bit more damage. Queen's taking some hits. And we see a few more Marines still coming up. Combat shields also going to complete in the next few moments. Hellions still taking some damage. Marines here. Ooh, in some trouble perhaps. Can't stim away fast enough. Tank's now going to be kind of abandoned as Scarlett just leapt on this opportunity. And what a bunch of damage she's going to deal here. That siege tank going down. The Queen's now from Scarlett backing away down to the bottom right side. I think this is very good for Scarlett though. I mean, SpeCial is still pushing forward. Scarlett gets a few more Banes on the way. She's struggling to get Mutalisks up. That's her biggest problem at the moment. She'd quite like to have some Mutas here to help clean up those tanks. She now has 7 building, but obviously will take a little while. Looks like she's just going to go for this with this next wave of Ling Bane. Banes do begin to connect that one siege tank firing where it can. The Queen's a good backup source as well. And actually, Queens will get the battle cruiser. No! Oh my god, what was that? The teleport. Oh, that was such a sick teleport. Just far enough away to get out of there alive. Wow. That was obviously one of the situations as well where it's like a super last moment thing, so you don't want to spend the time taking it home. Oh my god, the Mutalisks are going to be turned away. The BC does survive. Wonderfully done. Is going to see a lot more Banes from Scarlett. I love how she's playing this at the moment. I feel like SpeCial's in a bit of trouble here, honestly. Especially with +1 armor still coming through. Scarlett didn't start 2-2 upgrades. I think just a bit preoccupied dealing with this attack here. He needs to be very careful. And as the Muta's going on the counter, this is where it gets dangerous for SpeCial. Who, by the way, is he really only 2 base? I guess he is, because if he had a 3rd base, he would already be having it landed at this point. So I think SpeCial's very all-in with his setup at the moment, and that's kind of the problem here for SpeCial, as Scarlett might want to bring those Mutas back just to defend. I think as she sees there's no 3rd CC, she's going to be like, oh, right, so I'm actually in a really good spot here, and here she goes. She flanks in with the Mutas on the back to go straight after the tanks. The Liberator's going to get shot down as well. Okay, I mean, this is just a disaster for SpeCial, and again, without a 3rd base, there's no consistency in this game. Scarlett will pick up a map number 1 in this best of 5. Good friends with a lot of the players, right? So I'm kind of happy to see all of them doing well. And as we do see, SpeCial's going to open proxy racks here on King's Cove. Scarlett will have to get her defences on, as we do have her spawning to the bottom right hand side of our nice large map. And we do just have the second Rex about to come in, but look at that Overlord. It is kind of on path to scout. It's actually, I think it's gonna, I think it's just gonna clip the barracks, as long as she doesn't change direction, which is good information. It's only 2 racks as well, and Scarlett will be able to see it's only 2 racks if she wants to, and that's very good for her to know, as she is about to see it any second. Yeah, just clips it there. Obviously, SpeCial doesn't see that, so Scarlett knows this is coming, will stop droning, straight into the spawning pool, not a gas fist. He even sends 2 drones forwards. I feel like it's a very late scout to send the 2 drones, but this is something Scarlett has done before. First Marine starts on up, the 2 drones will come through and just start fighting the first SCV even. I mean, just some damage there, but these are 3 drones that aren't on the mineral line, and again, I think part of this is you do get to scout now for 3rd racks. You can see Scarlett's been very particular about that. She wants to know exactly what she's playing against here, no messing around. So, knowing that it's only 2 racks, she'll know that SpeCial plans to take gases back at home. SpeCial is actually already manning gas back at home, and that's very important for Scarlett to know, because now she can respond correctly. She knows there's going to be a follow-up from SpeCial. She knows there's going to be a factory at a certain time, and that's information that is so valuable in these games. Bunker does now start. 8 lings are on the way out. The first queen built on the low ground. She'll also build a spine crawler rather than a queen in the main base. So, getting a setup on the low ground here to get things started. As we are going to be seeing the extra Marines coming through. She's going to start pulling drones because she wants to stop this bunker coming up. The bunker can cause a lot more losses than just pulling some drones in. So that's exactly what she's going for here. As the lings will get rid of that SCV. And, well, bunker's actually going to finish, which means she actually has to spend more time picking away at that bunker than she'd like to, I think. These Marines are going to be backed up by a Reaper now. In fact, 2 more Reapers on the way, so a cool little difference here from SpeCial. Rather than going into that faster factory at home, he's decided to build Reapers instead. So, using his gas on those Reapers, let's hope he can get some damage with this. A bit of a change up from the usual way you'd see a 2 racks be followed up here. So yeah, definitely something a little bit different for the moment as Reapers continue to back away over the left-hand side. Pop them down to the low ground. Kind of just going from here. Good defense from Scarlett in the end then. Obviously, did pull drones quite heavily though. This is the moment where Scarlett kind of benefits a little bit because the CC still isn't done for SpeCial. So this is where Scarlett has a bit of a better moment or two. But that's about it. As we are going to be seeing Scarlett well here on King's Cove. The thing is, I mean, SpeCial obviously was kind of 2 base all in on the last map. But damn, Scarlett looked good defending it, right? And if she can just macro like that as well, it's going to be terrifying for SpeCial to play on such a large map against Scarlett. As, well, again, there's not a lot to defend this amount of Reapers. A second queen popping out just in time. Grenade will come down, puts the queen back. Good micro on the drones. How did no drones die? I actually don't know. 2 of them getting away, 1 hit from death. SpeCial is just missing out on kills there. That's crazy. That's really crazy. So Finn591, thank you so much for the 2-month resub. Says thanks for spending your vacation streaming this. No worries. It's some pretty great StarCraft too. All I can say is thank you for spending the day with me, guys. Remember, we'll see more of both of these players today. The loser will play against Iasonu in the 3rd place matchup. The winner plays Innovation in the grand final. So we're guaranteed an extra series from both of them still. So if you're just tuning in, what I'm trying to say is there's quite a lot of StarCraft still coming up here today. Still coming up. Hatchery to the 3rd base, and the Queen is going to be able to push this barracks around as well. Another supply depot dropping down as SpeCial has been very safe. I think afraid of kind of a big ling run by. Scarlett only just now able to start up the 3rd hatchery, which is something to keep in mind at the moment. 2 more factories now dropping in, so it is going to be a mech play here on King's Cove. Not too surprising. Bio, very hard to make work on King's Cove. Innovation chose to play mech on this map against Iasonu. It's just a really large map with not many ways to attack into the Zerg. And so playing Bio, what do you do to stop the Zerg? What do you do to kill the Zerg before they get up to that hive comp, right? Like, just don't. And so if the game is almost guaranteed to go long, a lot of players generally will prefer to then play mech into that later game. And it plays out very differently through the mid game as well, and it actually gives you a lot better options to kind of delay the late game from coming up. As the Scarlett will last a few moments here blocking the third, but does see the third base landing of SpeCial. Her own third hatchery just about to finish, so in the end SpeCial's applied some decent pressure with the Reapers, etc., keeping some map control with it and so on. These Lings pushed away as Hellions come out. And Hellion Cyclone going to be the choice, so SpeCial playing that very mobile composition here. See what Scarlett's choice to deal with this will be. Obviously, Roaches are very popular. I tell you what, Scarlett doesn't have a lot of army right now, and the Hellions into the main base. This is actually quite a concern. There's really nothing available here. Scarlett's trying to buy some time with a few Lings, trying to use them to block off. Now the drone's being pulled as well. The thing is, for SpeCial, these Hellions are so replaceable while playing mech. You've got so many factories. So that's going to be 10 drones, and obviously lost mining time too. I think that's a very, very effective 10 drones, because Scarlett is going to drop heavily in drones. And again, for SpeCial, you can rebuild those Hellions so easily. Like, they are so replaceable. So I think Scarlett should be a little bit upset with how that went down. It's not quite how you would have really wanted things to go. Definitely not the best opening here for Scarlett. I like it. I think SpeCial's running away with this game a little bit, which means, you know, looking to potentially tie up this series, get into a 1-1 scoreline, and everything to play for moving into games 3, 4, and potentially 5. Rotron and an Infestation Pit being played. Scar's building melee upgrades for the moment, but I think she's very quickly realizing this is mech with that Overseer Scout, so knowing the composition is going to even cancel Carapace to go into +1 missiles. I would have kind of more so expected +1 melee to be cancelled, but maybe still wants to use the Banes as part of the composition and play kind of like a Roach Ravager Baneling comp. The Banes can do pretty well at cleaning up and pushing back Hellions and Cyclones, so maybe the Carapace she just feels is something that isn't really too important, because it is mostly going to be Cyclones dealing damage for the moment. Hellions and Cyclones pressing through, and we do see Lock-On just dealing some damage to his spine. Again, Scarlett is struggling at the moment, only just now reaching 70 drones. SpeCial has just, been there for a bit as well. And so now she can start maybe making units again, but again, it's taken a while. That Infestation Pit is going to be for a couple Infestors. I mean, 2 Fungal Growths can definitely change the course of the game for sure. Fourth hatchery dropping down into the middle of the map. Hellions and Cyclones down the right side. A lot of creep being cleaned out so far. A lot of creep being cleaned out. So SpeCial, one of the benefits of just, well, having units while Scarlett's trying to play, catch up on drones. It's going to be really tough for Scarlett to hold off the future attacks here. Once SpeCial starts trading, Scarlett's going to start falling behind a bit at a time, and she's going to need some really spectacular fights to truly turn this around. But the problem is you don't get many chances to fight here with this composition of Scarlett, because SpeCial just kites away again and again, and he never really commits to a straight-up attack. He's always backing away, so how do you take a good fight from that? Well, it's the Fungal Growths mostly that are going to create something, if anything, for Scarlett in this scenario. SpeCial already has a 4th base in location and mining as well, so Scarlett is still just building. It's, again, a lead that SpeCial has. He's truly trying to put to work. Hellions and Cyclones on the left, Queens locked onto, going to transfuse each other up as well. Some Lings going in for a bit of a surround. I just don't know where those Infestors are. A few more Lings for the surround, and I mean, it's not bad for Scarlett, but it's also not cheap, right? A lot of Lings went down, and Lings don't, cost nothing, right? They still cost quite a few minerals. This push from SpeCial just keeps coming, and I mean, now Scarlett's trying to build Swarm Hosts and a Nidus. It's just, I mean, it's kind of late for the Swarm Hosts. And Swarm Hosts really benefit the earlier you build them, because the more waves of Locusts you get out, the more effective they are. Right now, it feels like the best thing Scarlett's hoping for is maybe tanks not be protected by Hellions, because SpeCial isn't expecting the Locusts. I mean, the fact these Hellions already have Blue Flame means they're very well set up to deal with this. And it's not even going to be that many Swarm Hosts. We're talking about, what, like 6, 7 max? It's really a very manageable number, as tanks are very well spread here. Liberators too. I mean, there's a big fungal growth going to land on the Hellions, and maybe can get rid of these Hellions, and will get rid of a lot of the Hellions before the Swarm Hosts come into play. But boy, those Liberators are just absolutely destroying at the moment, and, well, scans on top of the Swarm Host. SpeCial sees it coming. Again, I don't think this is too scary, especially because the Liberals are going to get some damage initially. Oh my god, the Swarm Hosts, the Locusts land on top of the two Hellions which go forwards as well, so they do nothing at all. So the Locusts are absolutely useless here, and, well, now Scarlett is in a lot of trouble because now she's got a lot of supply that is not doing anything. Swarm Hosts on cooldown, and she has to wait for those to come back off cooldown before she can realistically defend this position. This hatchery taking a lot of damage. The Liberators in the sky may very well want to just siege up here and try and get something done, and now they will siege up now. The Ravager's going to take a lot of hits. I mean, SpeCial is just going to keep sending units across the map. Oh my god, Nelly losing those Liberators to some corrosive biles. Scarlett knows it's over, and SpeCial will take a longer until we unmute. There we go. Top left is SpeCial here on Thunderbird, the mech. Not really a mech that won the game, just kind of the Hellion run by on top of the... I think the Reapers initially in the Marines early game actually did delay the third base enough and get a little bit of damage, and put them in a good spot. The Hellion run by definitely helped from there, and Scarlett was just struggling to kind of get back into the game at all, so there we go as we kick this off. Scarlett in the bottom right hand side, of course. Is it laggy? Well, we've definitely solved the lag as of late, it seems, so I don't think it's that bad. I think at the moment if there's a little bit of lag, it's just there and it goes away. So, fingers crossed it's not going to continue. Just double checking I haven't changed anything. He is playing after this best of 5. The loser of this series will be taking on Ayasonu. And then the winner of this series after that takes on Innovation in the Grand Finals. There's a third place match after this series and a Grand Final match afterwards. The stream's super choppy for me. Let me give it a watch myself for a moment or two. No, it looks pretty okay on my end. Definitely compared to before anyways. It's just one of those days, guys. Again, things are a little bit weird and a little bit messed up. Anyways, getting this going, and it is best of 5, guys, not best of 3. Best of 5. You can see between the 1-1 is that 5 Chinese symbol, 3 Chinese symbol. That basically is the way of wearing best of 5. It's like 5 maps, first to 3. It's not exactly what it means, but it's kind of the idea, right? So yeah, just kicking off into this game 3. Not a lot to say super early on. There is going to be a Marine behind the Reaper, so SpeCial playing very cautiously here, making sure he has a setup to help deal with the incoming lings, if there was incoming lings or so, but there isn't. So that Marine comes up, so it was just a Rax then gas basically, which means you get the Marine. So from the early stage you're already deciding to kind of play that as dancing with the Zerglings. The Queen comes out, and the Queen will, of course, be the real standing point to push that Reaper away. Third CC dropping down, so SpeCial's going to play very greedy on this map. So Terran's really mixing this third CC in today. Innovation on King's Cove against Ayasonu. SpeCial here on Thunderbird. We'll see what style SpeCial plays off of the free CC. Whether he's going to try and play mech on another large map like Thunderbird, or if he wants to try and play Bio once again. Of course, Bio didn't work out for him in Game 1, but it was a 2-base all-in that got shut down, rather than being like a third base and, macroing up and, playing more of a macro style in general. What do you think of Terran skipping the Reaper in TVZ? Does it have any potential? You can't really skip the Reaper because you just lose so much scouting information. You don't get to see whether the third base is coming down, you don't get to see if there's a roach attack. The Reaper is absolutely essential because you need to see if there's roaches coming. There's even builds in the current meta where if players lose their Reaper early or so, players will just throw down a roach run and throw an all-in at the Terran because there's no way the Terran can realistically prepare blindly. I mean, they can prepare blindly, but then of course if it doesn't come, right, then you can't just prepare blindly because if an attack doesn't come, you're putting yourself behind. So realistically, the Reaper is a real necessity in TVZ, just to scout potential all-ins and potentially, just little bits and pieces of what's going on. It's very important actually. So Yeah, that's definitely the case. So we are just going to be seeing the few queens at the front, going to push the Reaper and a couple of Hellions away. It's a fusion core again, so going to be another attempt to go into a battlecruiser. Wonder if this time he goes battlecruiser into mech, or if he is once again just going to go battlecruiser back into bio afterwards. Feels like there's possibility of both at the moment, really. Couple Hellions coming around through the center of the map. SCV's on the way up. BC's starting up on that starport there, and the Queen's going to be able to press those Hellions away, so Hellions getting pushed back a little bit. Lair on the way out, and as that completes Scarlett, she'll show us what she's planning for this game. I mean, the Lair is pretty quick, so definitely a few options here, and we haven't seen anything just yet from Scarlett, right? So, yeah, she's just going to throw down the Spire super fast. Okay, right, so a very fast Spire. Well, that's interesting, because obviously, I mean, it just means the computers or whatever, corruptors aren't going to be able to deal with the BC straight away. I think it's just another attempt to play Lingbane Muta, but now going to be playing against the BC as well. She's got Queens moving around a couple different locations. More factories as well, by the way, so this is going to be mech too. So yeah, it's also Yamato cannons. It's going to be more than one battlecruiser because it's mech. I imagine he wants to just keep building these. And that's going to be a nice quick Overlord kill. It's actually not a bad start at all, getting an Overlord. Scarlett's actually going to be, or would be supply blocked if that Overlord went down. Specialist probably knows he can just turn to target that again in a moment. We'll get it. So yeah, Scarlett hits a supply block there, and BC goes into the main. Getting a little bit surrounded by Queens though, and starting to realize his troubles. He's going to try and come through the bottom. BC is going to take a lot of damage. Would be a real shame to lose it before Yamato cannon. I mean, obviously a shame to lose it at all. Looks as though we are good for the moment. Those Hellions running at the front here. Zergling's going for a bit of a wraparound. Oh, the Banelings. If there was any more than 2 Banelings there, that would have been all those Hellions cleaned out. In fact, it still might be. The Ling is putting in some work, but obviously it has cost Scarlett quite a few Zerglings then to pick those Hellions off, rather than just blowing them all up with Banes. Alright, well, more BC's continuing through. Again, Yamato cannons are ready in the next few moments. But Corruptor's on the way out, so Scarlett's just looking to have a very solid response to the battlecruisers and then play from there. Might just play it continuously into... I mean, I guess doesn't want to continue playing Lingbane because it's mech and does see that now with the Overseer Scout, so as she drops the Rotron, we'll see if she cancels an upgrade again to start missiles or if she's going to stick with melee upgrades again. I mean, last time she cancelled the Carapace to start the missiles, which was different, to say the least. Definitely not quite what you usually expect to see. Anyways, Rotron Infestation Pit getting set up. 6 drones on the way out. Some more drones still being brought into play. +1 flyer attack coming in. Rotron finishes up. And Hellions and a Cyclone coming through and going to be able to get rid of a little bit more creep spread. Starport lifts off the tech lab factory, going to move over to it. Hellion also going to get picked off. More of a push from Special now, putting on a bit more pressure at the moment and coming down to the bottom right hand side. Scarlett is obviously setting those infestors up. They could be dangerous. Those fungal growths, we all know how effective they can be. Going into missiles and melee again, so still again moving away from that Carapace, now knowing that what she's kind of playing against. BCs will commit for Yamatos and will get rid of a Corruptor. Another Yamato lines up, and with the attack already dealt, BCs are just going to teleport away, so being extremely cautious, not really wanting to fight those Corruptors at all. Surprising, because I feel like they could have just flown back and, you know, dragged themselves into Cyclone range. I guess teleporting home means you can repair them, bring them back forwards, and then they're going to have teleport ready again soon enough, right? Yes, there are rich Vespene geysers on this map as well, by the way, where just to the left of where these Hellions and Cyclones currently are. So yes, Rich Vespine guys do exist in a very forward base though, so not an easy base to hold. Although in a game like this one, if it goes on a while, it's definitely the kind of base that Terran will look to hold, and maybe if Scarlett gets up into Broodlords, it's the kind of base she can hold with Broodlords as well. And actually, right now she's playing the right side of the map, so it's very difficult for her to take that left-hand side base that would generally be hers. But if she was started to play the bottom side of the map at any point and focused her defenses and army on the bottom, then actually that middle base becomes very easy to hold. You hold that central base, and you kind of hold the rest of the bottom side of the map at the same time as well. Just going to be seeing a couple of queens getting picked off here. A couple of queens going down, as you will see Hellions and Cyclones. Going to start already chipping away at those rocks, so finding themselves some openings to be made as, well, big fungal growth lands on this army. Oh my god. Balins are going to come crashing through here. What a fungal growth. SpeCial's in quite a bit of trouble, although at the very end, the siege tanks sieging up do get quite a bit done to the Lings. The Ravagers, though, are able to break through the last little wave of that, and well, the BCs are still around on the bottom side. They're going to fly in now from SpeCial. Teleport is off cooldown, so you can just teleport away in a moment. So this is quite nice for SpeCial because it's basically damage for free, right? Turns around, hits a Yamato cannon, and that's going to be... Oh, the fungal growth! Oh my god, the fungal growth is obviously huge because now they can't teleport away, so it traps them in position. Oh, and a neural parasite for the last one. Sick plays by Scarlett. That's 3 battle cruisers that were looking like they were going to get out of there. SpeCial gets punished. The Infestors at the correct moment. Wow, great play by Scarlett. She does lose 20 drones to Hellions, but she's actually still on 85 workers, so building a few more, replacing those with ease at the moment. That was pretty sick. Wow, I can't get over those BCs getting killed. I mean, that was obviously SpeCial really expecting that to be a teleport away, and that's a lot of his army that goes down there. So again, huge moment by Scarlett. He was able to hit multiple fungals in a row, and then when she ran out of fungals, she had one neural parasite to get that last BC as well. That was great. Well, Scarlett's about to max out here with SpeCial, still applying pressure. Scar has a lot of corruptors right now that aren't going to help too much though, right? And that's her issue. She's going to send those across the map to hit one of those bases, try and take down some of the economy, but it means that her army supply is even, a lot of army is again in those corruptors that aren't going to help until she gets a Greater Spire up. A few corruptors going to go over there, the rest of the corruptors looking for an opening. They're going to find themselves a Liberator or two. I mean, that's not a bad pick-off at all. That orbital has lifted up, decided to go elsewhere. Now this natural command center in trouble too. It's in range of a missile turret though, so corruptors are taking some damage. Protobar's cleaning out a couple siege tanks already. Balin's crashing in where possible. Infested Terrans came down to try and help break this, but not enough just yet. Although with that spine crawler and a few infested Terrans back in the base, looks okay as that the corruptors should finally be turned away. SpeCial is kind of drained for money though with the lifting of the bases, etc. Obviously really does hurt, and Scarlett, she just has more Roach Ravager, is really going to start breaking through this position, it seems like. Just has enough to keep throwing at the position to be able to eventually get through here. Corrosive Bars gets rid of that siege tank as well, as more Corrosive Bars already setting up. Another tank goes down. Obviously as Bars hit the tank, she just spends her time attacking the Hellbats, etc. So cleaning up everything else, and it looks like Scarlett is going to get rid of this army in the middle, if only just. There's a couple units left. Both players will disengage at the end there. Drones popping out, going over to that right-hand side. More Infestors being brought into play. Now, Greater Spire is ready, and so Broodlords can stop. Obviously, Scarlett lost quite a lot of Corruptors across the map, dealing that economic damage we were talking about, so that's something interesting to keep in mind as well. Lifting up versus the Core 6 Wave Corruptors doesn't work. It does because you can move the orbital, right? So you can lift up and move it away, so then the Corruptors are no longer in range to keep on spraying it down. Planetary Fortress, it doesn't work, but that should just be, I mean, there's potential for repair here. SpeCial does pull the SCVs onto it to try and slow it. Oh my god, it's still going down. It's going to be kind of close. Oh, it's super close. Wow. What a save by SpeCial. That's so sick. That planetary literally survives in the slightest of ways. Wow. And it's kind of bad because Scarlett does need the Corruptors to protect the Broodlords now as well, so she kind of has to be careful not just to throw those Broodlords away, Corruptors away, right? 6 save from SpeCial. If his units weren't there, the Corruptors would have gotten the kill, but it was the fact that Scarlett lost a couple of Corruptors. She just didn't have enough damage output any longer to keep it working. Iron Run-bys once more have been a nuisance throughout the game, and it's always one of the ways a mech player can be across the map dealing damage, and Scarlett will lose a good chunk of drones here. Already loses 10, replacing 11. And it's those kind of plays which sort of, give away units the SpeCial doesn't really need. But it forces Scarlett to make a round of drones, well then, SpeCial just keeps making units. So it just slows down unit production here from Scarlett for a moment, as that potentially probably will be an abduct just to stop more drones going down. The abducts obviously pull the Liberate out of position, as the Corruptors will get that kill. Plus 3 missiles starting on up now, and have a couple of Infestors on the way too. Hellions and Cyclones will not find too much to do on this bottom side. Ravagers are going to come down this bottom side as well. Two tanks sieging up, the rest of the tanks pressing forwards. Cyclones and Hellions coming on in. Already one of the Spine Crawlers getting picked off. Fungal Grove going to land just on one of the Cyclones in the distance. And another couple of lock-ons continue to push their way from this hatchery. Hatchery is going to go down. Nice blending cloud. Scott's going to take this engagement. She has Broodlings coming through and Infested Terrans as well. The Broodlords are defending the right side. Yeah, it's mostly Infested Terrans and the Broodlings from the hatchery. I was confused because where are the Broodlords? But yeah, it was from the hatchery that she used to engage there. So yeah, losing a base. But again, she still has 5 bases on the right side of the map, so it's not the end of the world. Obviously, we're getting to that stage where 6 bases do become important though, so I'd be surprised if she didn't expand to the very top right corner at the same time. Just because SpeCial is obviously focusing on the left side of the map himself, that top right hand side is really kind of a stretch away from SpeCial to rotate towards to attack, and Scarlett has pretty good creep up there as well, so it definitely isn't an impossibility for her to take that base. I feel like it's more natural in terms of progression of the expansions here as well at the moment. So, intriguing as we do see this army setting up on the left side still. Scarlett takes a moment to pull back, reinvesting into more static defense. Obviously, extra Spore Crawlers and Spine Crawlers, etc. will go a long way to help out too, as we see some creep being cleaned out in the center. So already some creep tumors going down here. This army spreads up. Nice fungal growth should guarantee some Hellion kills because they'll struggle to back away. And the Ravagers are going to kind of come up into this fight. Another fungal growth coming down. The Hellions just kind of committing in. Ravagers not doing that hard against the Hellions, I'll tell you that much. That's an expensive loss for Scarlett. I mean, Ravagers are 100 gas each. So that's a ton of gas that Scarlett just lost to basically only kill Hellions. Now she's losing drones elsewhere as well. Wow, suddenly Scarlett's on 62 drones and is struggling along just a little bit. Orbital lifts up, moves over to that right-hand side. It's just changing positions here a little bit too. And Scarlett still maxed out, but not with a bank, and a Zerg without a bank is not as scary a Zerg as you'd like to be in a game like this one. Tanks pressing forward is going to find some creep tumors to pick off here right from the start. Parasites just to stop this happening. Going to see some friendly fire being caused. The Lings will end up killing this off, and Scarlett is going to be able to clean this up. So obviously at this point tanks are being traded out for more fours, etc. An army that can fight against Corruptors and Broodlords for SpeCial. As he starts to push down this right hand side. Fours pulling back up to the top, a few SCVs going down to these Zerglings. Liberators, Vikings setting up as well, and again a few fours moving around here also. 2 more starports going to drop into play, and SpeCial just setting up a way to reinforce. Scarlett's army is scary. Infestor's, Corruptor's, Brood. She's got a bit of a bankroll, and again, and I do think that's a pretty big deal now. Forces that Liberator unsiege with the parasitic bomb. Obviously hitting those stacked up libs is kind of a dream. Infested Terran's going to come out here. Forward's pressing through. I mean, it's those Liberators, there's so many of them. It's kind of tough for the Corruptors to press forwards into this though, so there you go. The Broodlord's not really quite able to hold this position at all. Where are the Corruptors? Is there just like none of them? There was Corruptors, right? I'm moving a few more into Broodlords at the moment. It feels like you need something to push those Liberators back, otherwise, I mean, how are your Infestors really going to do anything? Here you go, this is the opportunity. Neuroparasite's a bunch of 4s. So 4s are starting to kill each other off, and also picking away at the Liberators, using that as a way of anti-air at the moment. Last couple of 4 shots will get rid of another Liberator or so. Broodling's now on top of those 4s that haven't backed away because of the Neuroparasite, and Scarlett is able to, again, keep herself together. 5 more Corruptors building. Infestors looking for a fungal, but they are drained of energy. That's the issue. The Infestors just don't have the energy to put into this anymore. And Scarlett loses this right-hand side. This might become a game that's more about that left-hand side of the map, actually, as Broods are going to come forwards. And there's a few Corruptors going through. We really were missing them before. That parasitic bomb, though. Wow, that parasitic bomb was absolutely insane, as we're going to be seeing pushing forwards here. A couple of Neuroparasites coming down on Liberators. Broodlords are going to clean up all of those 4s. What a cleanup by Scarlett. Wow, almost out of nowhere. She's going to find a way to push this back. That was really like the last moment of defense. Wow. What a turnaround from Scarlett. Now SpeCial. Yeah, she doesn't have any minerals to truly build anything up with, so Scarlett's going to push forwards, and this is going to be a problem, right? I mean, these Broodlords, the Infestors now have a chance to regain some energy before another fight happens. That's a fungal growth. The Corruptors don't want to try and target down a command center, and so they weren't going for that Liberator right away. But I do feel like there's enough Corruptors now to kind of dive in on Liberators as well, which is kind of what was missing before from Scarlett. She didn't really have that opportunity. 10 SCVs down, the Broodlords coming in from the right. The Infestors, again, are pretty low energy at the moment, so it's tough for them to really add much into this, and that might be one of the reasons Scarlett is somewhat reluctant just to move straight in here. Liberators on siege, though, could be the opportunity now. The Broods a little bit far away. He needs to bring those 4s to join this fight. Fungal growth and infested Terrans dropping down. SCV's already pulled in to help these 4s, but those infested Terrans are going to go huge, and, well, there's a lot there. And now Scarlett morphs in 10 more Broodlords, knowing she has enough Corruptors to fight off against the last few Liberators that remain, and SpeCial is truly falling apart, so it looks as though Scarlett is going to be able to take the game through of this. Just a few more Broods coming up. SpeCial already knows it's over, though. That's cheap. Remember. What's up, Kira LP? Thank you so much for the fresh new Twitch Prime sub as well. Thank you so very much for that. Get some love in the chat as we kick this off into game number 4. And we're going to start it to the bottom left-hand side, leading the series 1 map away from making it to the grand final. We basically mean we're going to cast TVZ for the rest of the day as well, but that's not the end of the world. It's Scarlett in the bottom left, and it's SpeCial in the upper right. He's going to build a low-ground depot, so probably low-ground racks as well. I wonder if this is Free Racks Reaper. We have seen some players playing Free Racks Reaper again lately. Kalozerv, most notably in Europe. I just wonder if that's why he wants to wall the low ground with multiple racks early on, or if it isn't going to be that at all, right? It could just be 1 racks here, get an early wall off up, and go from there. But there's another SCV, there's going to be another barracks, and again, it looks indeed like we're going to have some early Reaper play out of SpeCial. Alright, so number 4 of this, and we'll see. It's actually only 2 racks for the moment. Third rack's not actually coming down, so is it just going to be 2 racks Reaper opening? No, that's the third racks. Okay. I really thought if the first rack's finished already, I thought the third racks would be started by now, but I was just waiting a few moments longer to put it up in the main, so my apologies. So here's the 3 racks Reaper as mentioned before. Obviously, like a 2 racks Reaper opening, maybe like build like 4 Reapers and like expand and do something. I just don't think it's worth it, right? It doesn't really make sense, but I was just wondering. Anyways, can this set to go? And seeing where we're at, or how things are going to turn out. Guys, I'm just going to say it now. Just stop all this nonsense in the chat, or I will just put subscribe mode on and ban people. So literally just cut it right now. I don't know where my mods are, but they're not here. So don't make me put subscriber mode on. That's all I'm gonna say. Reapers start to harass, of course. Now Scarlett will see that it's multiple racks Reaper with the Overlord across the map, so that's good information for her. Her response seems to be to go into Zerglings against this. As we see another Reaper join up, of course the harassment will continue. Scarlett's done okay so far, only taking damage on Queens, not really losing anything. That's a good grenade to push the Queens back a little bit. Reaper's still moving around, going for a drone over Queens. Trying to get some damage done as well. And a few more Reapers just continue to come up. Link speed about to complete as well in the next few moments. This is the strength of the 3x Reaper. You can apply a lot of pressure across the map, but at the same time, well, this isn't good. Ling's catching the Reapers. At the same time, the third CC can come up pretty fast, but he's not being able to deny the third hatchery of Scarlett, so it's actually a very strong opening for Scarlett here. A very strong opening for Scarlett. I don't think SpeCial has done anywhere near as much as he was hoping for with this Reaper play, and that's pretty brutal for him. That's really brutal for him. As we do just see some Lings hanging out to the side. Overlord up overhead, and Queen's going to move up towards the top side too, just again setting themselves up defensively. The Reapers are still on the map, so they're still a bit of a threat here, but not too much of one. A few more Queens coming around the left. Another Zergling's moving around too. Marine's going to jump onto that Overlord here. Overlord is going to get killed off. Nice usage of the barracks lift. SpeCial starport coming into play. Factory goes onto the reactor, so going to go for some Hellions now to try and buffer up the next attack. So Hellions and Reapers combined, they can do pretty well together. Definitely some possibilities there as we see the lair coming through. 7 more drones coming up. Bane Nest on the way down, not sure. I think maybe it was double Evo and then one Evo cancelled into a Bane Nest. What does Scarlett do with one Evo? Usually Carapace would be the go-to if you only have one Evo chamber. Your units generally take more damage in this scenario because they're melee units than they do dealing damage, so yeah, Carapace is preferred, and especially against Marines as well, Carapace is preferred because against Marines, again, you definitely do take more hits than what you deal. But there's actually going to be more factories, so mech transition, that's something Scarlett's going to have to figure out here as well. SpeCial definitely has had the most success with mech, even in that last game was looking to be in a good spot until Scarlett had a big clean-up force and a big turnaround at that point. Going to see an armory or two dropping down back at home. Helene's just with the Reapers holding map control, not being overly aggressive. Scarlett is going to start up a Rotron. She's been very good at scouting this mech play this series. She's been very good at time and time again coming through, seeing what the opening is, checking the factories. So checking that out multiple times over. Hellions and Reaper's going to pick up a couple of creep tumors right now, so some creep going down. Again, Rotron is going to finish up in just a few moments' time. It's going to give Scarlett the roaches that I think she'll really need to help against this army composition. Scarlett seemed pretty comfortable dealing with the Hellion Cyclone. I mean, there was points where, again, it felt like SpeCial was getting into a good spot, but I think Scarlett's overall game plan was strong, and I think it put her into a good position to deal with it in the end. And Reapers and Hellions still coming through. Queen's able to turn a couple of those units away. Extra Queen's coming up, and SpeCial's finally going to start getting towards some Cyclones as well with this. So obviously really is going to start getting to that dangerous sort of point where the push forwards really are quite dangerous. Scarlett's scared to attack in with mostly Ling Bane, the Hellion splash damage, and also the potential to Reaper Grenade your way out of trouble here too. It's a pretty strong setup what SpeCial has in that mobile army, and all those units do work really well together because of, again, just how mobile they are, how easily they can all run around the place. Just going to be seeing the... Oh, Blings and Bane's going to get found. Scarlett is trying to set up a flank. She's got the Queens on the bottom side. The thing is, the Queens don't exactly... I don't agree with that Hellbat morph. Wow, the Hellions just stopped dead in their tracks to morph into Hellbats. They don't deal damage while that's happening either, so... Yeah, I didn't really agree with that. Yeah, the thing with the Queen flank is obviously the Queens don't surround and stop in its movement, so they could continue moving away, so while the Queens on the bottom were nice for damage, that's pretty much all it did. A little bit of extra damage. Didn't help if the units catch up at all, right? Yeah, so these last couple of Banes going off. Scarlett's still chasing fours. There's not a lot to clean up these Ravagers. The Reapers are doing okay. And there is a Banshee in the sky that's helping out quite a lot as well. Scarlett was probably hoping to get some workers with this continued attack across the map, and maybe still will. Zerglin's streaming in as well. The third base has to be evacuated, and Scarlett is making something happen right here. We'll see more of these SCVs continue to drop down. 7 workers killed off. Roaches and Lings continue to stream over. +1/+1 just finished up for our Terran player, but doesn't have many units to put it to use with. And Scarlett, with the lead that she's just established there, she's now going to take it into a Hive, Aspire, obviously moving towards Broodlord with 8 more drones on the way as well. This is, it's pretty crazy at the moment. So we're going to be seeing +1 missile attack finishing. Again, Spire just about halfway done. Now some Swarm Hosts on the way too, so a bit of a change up from Scarlett. She kind of tried to go Swarm Host when she was behind in that second game, but it's kind of, I feel like she's in a decent spot right now. I'm not sure if you really needed Swarm Hosts. She's going to throw them in here though. If she can Nidus them into very abusive positions and buy extra time to move into Broodlords, obviously that then works very well. Watching for that Great Aspire to start, because the sooner that starts, the sooner there's Broodlords. Things passing through, and we are going to see the Hellions still being chased down. 13 drones killed. Those Liberators have been extremely annoying. And that's the kind of the cost of building some Swarm Hosts rather than Corruptors here, which could have gotten rid of those Liberators very easily and very quickly. Now, at least the Queens are coming through, but it is going to be a couple more drones lost before then. First Nidus is to the right-hand side, and units are pulling around, dropping the Locusts in towards the main. The Hellions going to go and relocate now. A couple of Locusts dropped to the low ground too. That's a pretty easy cleanup from SpeCial. The Blue Flame Hellions just do so well against it, so I'd say the first wave of Locusts don't do too much. First Nidus cleaned up, but the next Nidus up in the top, established as well. Swarm was already here waiting to pop their Locusts out. SpeCial will just now get towards a 4th base. Something Scarlett has had set up for a little while. She's looking to clean up her barracks. That's holding some map control in the center. Well, the Locusts are going to be found, and they are able to throw a few. Swarms are able to throw a few Locusts up in the sky. That's not exactly what you want to do with this, though. Again, these Swarm Hosts are definitely not achieving as much as they were hoping. The crowd loves the single Swarm Host that survived there. It was blocked from getting into the Nidus by the Hellions, but then the units didn't stick around long enough to kill it. You know, our Ravagers have pushed their way into a position here on this low ground. Great Aspire is done soon, but I feel like Scarlett's thrown away a lot of units to... 23 SDVs full. But it's, again, a lot of our Ravagers going down. It's a lot of a kind of real feisty force that can get something done here. Banshee gets killed by those Biles. All of these Ravagers get chased away. Couple of Locusts popping out over on this side, and looks like we'll see where the rest of the Swarm Hosts decide to go. Looks like they're going to go back towards the natural. Scarlett's 4th hatchery here. That's the 4th hatchery, is in some trouble. And she just doesn't have much on the ground after losing so many Ravagers hitting that planetary. Yes, the SCVs killed were good, but is it enough? Losing an entire hatch when she's only now on 3 bases herself. That's very costly, because she's losing drones with it as well. Now, she has 72 drones against 44 SCVs, but she doesn't have somewhere to mine from with all of those drones. And she has a Great Aspire, but obviously she just can't afford to go into the Broodlords at the moment. She doesn't really have enough. She's going to try and jump on this now. Ravager's getting very close and personal. The Corruptor's getting rid of Liberators. And it looks like Scarlett is going to clean out this army. Well, she really needed to. There's some Locusts that are popping up somewhere as well, I think I heard. Oh, there's only a couple. Maybe I misheard. It's still very close. The fact that Scarlett did do some economic damage is extremely important. Oh, needs to get rid of this Liberator, though. The lack of Corruptors is absolutely really hurting Scarlett here. That Orbital might go down as well if SpeCial isn't careful. I think it did just die, so that's actually a big pick off for Scarlett. Oh, SCV's going back to the low ground too. Man, SpeCial is making some mistakes here. I mean, killing the Orbital is huge for Scarlett because now SpeCial's on 3 bases of his own, so Scarlett is kind of making up for the fact that she lost one of her bases with her own base rebuilding already. Oh, she already rebuilt the base to the top, built a new base to the top side, right? So she's back on 4 bases to work with. And that is very important for Scarlett here. 2 more Cyclones on the way up, 7 more drones on the way out. A few more Ravagers as well coming into play. Another Locust going to drop down. And the rest of these Locusts going to fly across towards this orbital command center. Swarm Host continue to apply quite a lot of pressure. I wasn't convinced by the Swarm Host when she first decided to go into them. I truly wasn't, but she's making them work a lot better than I thought she would. Getting a lot of damage with them, and I still feel like they caused her to get into a bit of trouble here. Not being able to afford Corruptors and Broods instead, but again, for the moment, it continues to work out. It continues to go very well, as we're going to be seeing that Nidus network getting shut down as well. Hellions and Cyclones going to get turned away by a few Corrosive Biles. So we try and get on top of that hatchery. Ravagers chasing forwards. Another Cyclone picked off. Five more Vikings, 3 more Cyclones still coming through. And the Cyclones also going to get rid of that Overseer up in the sky. Here come these. I mean, Swarm Host going to pop out of this Nidus network. So Swarm Host will pop out, but they are going to see the Nidus going down. So SpeCial maybe with some opportunities here. Loses a Cyclone. I mean, this is nice pickoffs for SpeCial, but Scarlett hits a run-by on that base. SpeCial now building the Vikings as well to deal with the incoming Broodlords. Vikings are going to have to land to defend against those Lings. Vikings, the only thing SpeCial has been building lately is... Oh, new Nidus is going to be found down here as well. Yeah, and Scarlett's attempts to Nidus at the moment are not going well. But that Ling run-by really has been more deadly than it should have been at last Swarm Host. The crowd loves it when these Swarm Hosts survive, I tell you. They're cheering louder than anything else. And also we do have the Crypt Tumors again being cleaned up. Banelings, Ravagers, Roaches going down to the bottom. And you see the we're just about surviving. That one Swarm Host, man. Scarlett pretty much maxed out though, and she is on her way to a grand final meeting with Innovation here. That'd be a best of 7 grand final. Before that, not much delay at all then. Well, SpeCial's on the offensive as we resume right now. Hatchery in the front will get cancelled. Still more Broodlords coming up as well. A couple more of those pathogen glands. For those infestors. This is the thing, while SpeCial starts to get aggressive now, Scarlett's now on much more of a dream army than she was before. And again, SpeCial is losing SCVs on that 3rd base. He's just, I mean, that's 10 SCVs that just went down. That's so costly. And meanwhile, these Vikings are committing really hard to kill Broodlords, but Queens are transfusing them, keeping them alive. And it just means that these Broodlords are just, these Vikings are going down without achieving anything, with a Corruptor or 2 chasing them. Well played by Scarlett. Those transfusions were amazing. She's just kept everything alive here. Meanwhile, 20 Lings went down on that counter-attack. 20 SCVs went down to that Ling counter-attack. And that's just where it really feels like SpeCial has fallen apart a little bit, as Scarlett's going to jump on the army here as well. Gets a siege tank in the front. These Cyclones are going to try and back away. The Hellions as well, trying to run off here. It really does look like SpeCial is going to the 3rd place match, but Scarlett